Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high. Cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody rise up weekdays. Catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning. Good afternoon and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in good spirits, as it should, because another day above the dirt is always a blessing. Let's not forget that. Well, we got some things we got to talk about today. There's a lot of things going on today. There's a lot of news going on. I know there's a lot of trials that are going on today as well. But of course, there is some things that have been popping off since yesterday. I talked about them in pop-up videos on this channel. Yesterday was a little busy, but I wanted to make sure that we talk about those things and, of course, talk about the main title here. No, and don't worry, I'm reading your comments. No, it is not supposed to say police. It says please for a very specific reason. So, check out the title up above or down below, wherever you are watching this show. And while we get things moving, while we continue to percolate and get this conversation going and this show going, please do me a favor, hit that like button down below. Do me that solid, okay? Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms, make sure you are following me on those platforms: Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Rumble. I'm on all of them. Check them out. Go follow. That'd be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to subscribe here on my main channel if you're watching on the tubes. That YouTube, that beautiful YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed to this main channel right here. Go over to my secondary channel. I just uploaded a video on the secondary channel in regards to Kanye West having a phone conversation with Diddy while Diddy's in jail. Yeah, we may talk about it here on the main channel a little bit later on today. Maybe not, but go and check it out. It's just by itself. It's the full conversation that they had. Go check it out if you are deep in the Diddy stuff. And Kanye West now is getting himself pulled into the group chat. That's a whole other conversation itself, okay? But make sure you subscribe to both channels, because there's a lot of things I'm covering over there that I'm not covering over here, and vice versa. So make sure you're doing that, okay? Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon, check out my locals, and don't forget to check out PascalMerch.com, okay? We got some really great stuff over there, PascalMerch.com. Go check it out. Guarantee you'll find something you'll love. Anyway, guys, woo! Happy Tuesday, everybody. Some people would say this is Monday part 2, all right? But hopefully you guys have had a good Monday. I know yesterday was St. Patty's Day. So I don't know. That was terrible. But hopefully you guys had a good one. All right. Enjoyed running around, drinking green beer and wearing green. If you did that, hopefully you did it hopefully you had a good time. Hopefully you did it nicely. Like, that's what I was going to say first, but it sounded weird. But I decided to say it anyway. But hopefully you did it nicely, but hopefully you did it safely as well. Okay? Because none of us need to be wrapped around a damn tree just because we drank a few too many green beers. You see what I'm saying? So hopefully you guys arrived home alive. But we have got to get into this conversation. Speaking of drinking, there is a lot of consumption revolving, a lot of theories, and you can clearly see it in the videos, about the concept of the consumption of alcohol. And there happens to be quite a bit, because in the video that we saw, that I shared with you guys in a pop-up video yesterday, you can clearly see that Sudiksha Konanki is definitely under the influence. She has definitely had a lot to drink. And now there's new footage that I showed you guys yesterday, but like I said, we're going to be doing some recaps here in a little bit. All right. But you can see that there's potentially a young woman, Sudiksha, consuming maybe beyond her limit. And then she vomits, and then she goes back into the party. Kind of literally, it's a puke and rally, okay? I said it on the video too. Now, there are many possibilities with this situation. This could very well be a thing where she had drank something that was laced. That's possible as well. But again, I said it even on the pop-up video too. This screams multiple possibilities like the Riley Strain situation. There was a lot of theory that Riley Strain drank something that was laced, right? Drank something that had something in it, because apparently the nightclubs and bars in Nashville are known to get people drinking things that are laced with substances, right? So, of course, she's in a foreign world. She's in a foreign, she's in another country. She's on vacay. She's doing her thing. There's a good possibility. There's a possibility. I'm not saying that it is 100% a fact, but it is a possibility that she may have drank something that was laced. That's possible. Or we just go on the fact that maybe she was day drinking and maybe she had a few shots too many and she just went beyond her limit. Now, that is still a very strong possibility. And then, let's not forget, just because she consumes something, yes, it's wrecking her insides. It's messing her up on the inside. But we don't know what the outside world had in store for Sudiksha. It's possible that Konanki was attacked by somebody that saw an opportunity, someone who was vulnerable, someone who was clearly drunk, and took the opportunity to attack. That's still a very strong possibility. Hence the reason why you have someone like Joshua Rybe not locked up, but let's just do air quotes, detained at the resort. He can't leave. He can't leave the resort. He can't leave the country. He can't go nowhere. Police do have his passport, which is also interesting because there are reports of him actually trying to leave at one time. Hence the reason why they had to, air quotes, soft detain him at the resort. But nonetheless, his story is still suspect as hell. We talked about that in another pop-up video, which we will be getting into in a little bit. But one of the things that I do want to share with y'all, which is like the main title of this show, so we're going to get straight into this. Now, you already know that this 20-year-old Sudiksha Konanki was out there at Dominican Republic, or in Dominican Republic, Punta Cana, just to be completely accurate. She was at this resort with her friends. They were having a great time. They were kicking it out there for spring break. They went to the bars. They did what they did. And late that night, the night of her disappearance, or the morning of her disappearance, like 4 a.m. is the next day, in my personal opinion, but they're still out. So technically it's their night out. So the night that she disappeared, she went with a bunch of her friends and this guy, Joshua Rybe, to the beach. Allegedly, the friends stayed there for about 2 hours. So that's a long time to be hanging out at the beach. They leave Sudiksha and Joshua Rybe at the ocean. Only for about 4 hours later, you see in security cam footage Joshua Rybe emerging, walking back to his hotel room from the ocean. Now, Joshua Rybe has had quite the story. It's changed, I don't know, 11 times, as I said before. It has changed multiple times. Okay, at first it was, oh yeah, we went over there, we were out in the ocean, we got hit by water, I pulled out of the water, I passed out on the beach, and I woke up, got my stuff, and I left. Then there's been other ones. Oh yeah, went into the ocean, she was there with me, we got hit by the waves, I got out of the water, I saw her before I passed out. I saw her walking down the ocean, or walking down the beach, about shin deep, okay, in the ocean. I passed out. I woke up. She was gone. Then we hear a new one, which, of course, I need to pull up. I don't have that one here, but I need to pull that one up, okay? because I want to get exactly what he said. I want to get exactly what he said because, again, pretty insane. Okay. But then he says more. He says more things like this. Not that, but this right over here. Okay. Says I was trying to help them out. I'm just trying to help them out. Okay. The ocean is a dangerous place. Moving on. So he says that he and Kananki were in waist deep water, talking and kissing a little, according to the transcript. Okay. Now his uncle also revealed, which was, kind of a big deal in a way, that his uncle, Richard, revealed that he has a girlfriend back at his school, back at his university. All right. So clearly, and I said this in a pop-up video too, I mean, if you are going to do spring break without your girl, oh, it's diabolical. Sorry, but let's be real. Clearly, hey, sweetie, love you, honey. Going to Dominican Republic, going to DR. See you when I see you. Like, that's kind of messed up, right? Clearly, to me, probably going out there to try to have a little bit of fun. Not thinking that it's going to turn out to be like this. If he's innocent, that is. If she really was just taken in by the ocean, yeah, this is a terrible situation. Or he got himself into some trouble because he did a very bad thing. But let's move on, allegedly, because he's still a person of interest. He's not a suspect as of yet. But I still got questions, y'all. I still got a whole gang load of questions, and hopefully we will get those answered very, very soon. In fact, I'll be asking those here in the show too, just as a reminder to all y'all. Okay? And LL, for a fact that's diabolical. Okay? If your girl or your man say, yeah, going to, it's spring break time, we're about to go down there, we're going to have some fun, and you ain't invited, that's it. Just give him that look and be like, yeah, it's over. Have fun. You know what I mean? And of course, we don't know the dynamics of the relationship. It could be brand new, blah, blah, blah. I understand all that stuff. But at the same time, you should be well aware that if it's like going there with girls' trips are the most. Y'all, the stories I've heard about these girls' trips, they're worse than the boys' trips. Oh my God. Okay. That's all I'm going to say. Some of these girls' trips are wild. All right. And he's like, and you, some of those stories you want to clutch the Holy Bible. You know what I mean? And like spray them with some holy water. Right. You're like, you did what? Oh my, you know what I'm talking. Okay. Some of y'all know. Some of them are diabolical. All right. Moving on. All right. So he says he was trying to help them out. He was kissing her. They were hanging out in the water. This is the new edition. This is the new version of his story, right? So he continues. He went on to claim a wave crashed and whisked them both out to sea. So I just kept trying to get her to breathe. But that didn't allow me to breathe all the time. And I swallowed a lot of water. So they're kissing, they're doing their thing, and all of a sudden, whoosh, they get hit with water, with waves, and get sucked into the ocean. So now he's saying he was trying to get her to breathe. So she was having issues in the ocean. When we heard before, nothing of the sort. You see what I'm saying? The additions that just keep getting added. Oh, and this. Oh, and I forgot about this too. And and this too. You know what I'm saying? Oh, now it's like I am a hero. I was trying to do everything I could. I was trying to be Prince Valiant, doing everything I can to save this young damsel in distress. You know what I'm saying? Seems a little bit weird. First, it was we got hit by the waters. I rolled out. I got out of the ocean, got to the shore, and passed out. Woke up, she was gone. Now we're hearing, oh, I was out there trying to help her breathe. I was trying to help her breathe. But here's the other interesting part about this, too, because we were wondering if he was like maybe a strong swimmer or if he was trash or something like that, right? Well, he used to be a lifeguard. So he's a pretty decent swimmer. Now, I get it, too. If you're drunk, and he clearly was drunk, yeah, your swimming skills may not be on point. Sometimes you're not going on autopilot. All right. Those instinctual skills that you've learned over time as being a strong swimmer and stuff like that, those motor skills could go to crap, especially if you've been tying one on, right, all day. That's very possible. But nonetheless, all right, contrary to what he previously stated, alleged he was able to bring her to safety before she actually went missing. Okay. So when I finally reached the ground on the beach, I held her in front of me. She wasn't out of the water. She was knee deep and walking at an angle out the water. Okay. Last time I saw her, I asked her if she was okay. Oh, now he's asking her if she's all right. I didn't hear her reply because I started vomiting all the water that I had swallowed. After vomiting, I looked around. I didn't see anyone. I thought she had grabbed her things and left, but what's so interesting is that her stuff was still there. Her stuff was still there. Now, again, in your drunk mind, you may not be looking around for details. Let's not forget that too. Yeah, like I said, this screams, yes, it screams Natalie Holloway. It definitely screams Riley Strain as well. That's what it gives me big time, because something about this seems a bit weird, right? But nonetheless, he says that he's busy like, purging, as she just continues walking down the ocean, which also doesn't make any sense. Now, again, think about this, okay? There is a possibility that as he was sitting there, as he doubled over, right, purging the water out of himself, she could have tripped. She could have been hit by another wave and she could have been washed out. But it wouldn't make any sense for her whole. Then where would her remains be? Where would her remains be? Wouldn't they have washed up to shore at some point now? Real talk, it just doesn't make sense to me. That part doesn't make any sense. But then at the same time, there's other things that I'm like, I don't know if he'd be able to do certain things, which we're going to talk about here in a second, because it's the timeline, right? It's the timeline. They went down there, and we're going to hear about that timeline here in a second. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up, because I think this is very important, especially with what the title is saying right now, what our main subject matter is that we're going to be talking about here. The thing I keep wondering is, I mean, this could very well, let's be real, this could very well be just a terrible, heartbreaking accident. That could very well be what it is. You have alcohol in your system. You go over to allegedly a raging ocean. In your drunk mind, you think it's okay to go into that ocean, and you go into that ocean. There's a good possibility she was swallowed up by the ocean. But where are her remains? Where's her body? But we're going to talk about that here in a second, even more. But again, he could have said, "Are you okay?" And as he was vomiting, she could have been tripped, fell, something like that. Maybe another huge wave hits her and she gets sucked back out into the ocean. That's possible. That is possible. But he didn't go and look around for her anymore. He just passed out, basically, right? But moving on. Rybe was asked about what he told his close friend about Kananki and what he thought about her disappearance. Investigators also questioned if he knew if Kananki was able to swim, if she made any gestures or cries in the sea, if he called the cops or told the hotel. if he had told his friends about what happened and how he felt about the situation. All viable, normal, logical questions that any person, reporter, human being, random Joe on the street would ask a person like Joshua Rybe in a situation like this. But guess what? He says, my lawyers advised me not to answer that question. And by the way, it was questions because it was multiple questions, but he didn't want to answer any of them because his lawyer said not to do that. And I followed their advice. And then that's it. That's all he said. That's all he said. That seems a bit suspect, right? Again, if you're leaving room for doubt, what do you think is going to be showing up in that room? Doubt, speculation, theories of the conspiracy kind. Just saying, you leave room for doubt. Next thing you know, you got people wearing tinfoil hats saying, ancient aliens, man. Unfortunately, that's just the world that we live in. But that was his answer for all of those questions. I plead the fifth. That doesn't seem a little bit weird. Moving on, though. And of course, there he is. I can't get over it. I'm sorry. But why? Why the mouse man? Why? But moving on. Why is he smiling with a mouse? Why is he? I can't even pull up my mouse. Mine's not wireless, but you know what I mean? Why is he just up there just holding the mouses? Like, why? Someone explain that to me. It's still driving me nuts. All right. But moving on. He's captured on surveillance video with Konanki with a group of her friends walking to the beach, okay, in Punta Cana around 4 a.m. Remember that time, 4 a.m. on March 6th. Her friends left 2 hours later, so around 6 o'clock in the morning, they went back to their room, leaving Rybe and the med student Konanki alone on the beach. Now, first off, I know some people are like, don't at the friends, don't go at the friends like that. Oh, that's not fair. That's not right. You shaming them. Why are you doing? Listen, why would they leave her behind? Why would they leave her behind if he truly is a stranger to her? And if they know that she's been drinking, they knew she was drinking a considerable amount. Why would they leave her there? And I get it. Some people be like, well, she grown. She a grown-ass girl. She want to go and hang out with this stranger man, and she wants to go out and hang out with that stranger man. I get that part too, but at the same time, there's got to be a code. There's got to be a code and understanding. Oh, my God. This is weird. Leaving her behind like that. Now, I'm not saying, okay, I am not saying that the friends planned this whole thing out and we're like, we can't stand her, so let's just get her in trouble of some kind. No, I don't think that at all. I think maybe they were drunk too, just not at the level of drunk that Sudiksha and Joshua were, and just said, hey, she's fine. We're tired. We're going back to the hotel room. We'll see you in a little bit. But unfortunately, she never came back to the hotel room, right? So I'm wondering, why would they leave her behind with a stranger? Period. All right. But moving on. So in one of his retellings, he said that they went to the sea and then they were swept away by the wave. He also said that he felt sick, so he got out of the water and went back to his hotel room. That's a new story. So that's it. He just got out of the water. He was feeling sick, got out of the water, went back to the hotel room, and that was it. Period. Okay. He also said that he fell asleep on the beach. And the other story, like I said, too many changes into his story. Okay. The other story, Rybe allegedly told authorities was he saw Kananki walking along the beach with the water up to her knees in the direction of where she left her cover up on a lounge chair. Rybe's family explained the conflicting accounts as being the result of a different translator being present at each of the 3 police interviews. Now, let me tell you, I've already said this before, but you can miss me with that nonsense. Okay. This isn't like we're speaking Japanese and you pronounce the Japanese word a little differently, and it means instead of it meaning swimming, it means donut. You see what I'm saying? This is just ridiculous. Okay. Miss me with the nonsense of to three different translators. So they say to three different things. No. You're moving the goalpost for your kid. I get it. I understand. You're trying to defend your kid, but at the same time, nah. He's saying he's changing the story. That's it. He's changing the story. Stop it. Rybe was caught on camera returning to his home or to his room at 9:55 a.m. without his shirt. Now, this is the biggest problem I have, and I know this is not like the straw that broke the camel's back in this mystery. I'm not sitting here saying this is the missing piece or her. You know what I mean? Like, no. But there is something strange about this. First off, they found her sarong or her swimsuit cover-up, right? At the beach. If I'm correct, her sandals as well. I don't remember exactly, but her belongings that she had were there on the beach. They found those things. Here's what's interesting. He went back without his shirt. Without his shirt. He didn't go back and have his shirt in his hand or anything like that. He left that mug behind. So, theory. Just a theory. That's funny. I didn't get it. Siri thought I was talking to it. See, it just did it again. See, they're always listening, man. They're always listening. But here's a thought, and just a thought itself. Think about this. They went back, or he went back without his shirt. She's nowhere to be found. His shirt, from my understanding, has not been found either. So, if there was some sort of foul play going on, because I still feel like there is some sort of foul play afoot here, guys. I truly believe that. Why weren't they able to find his shirt? You can't find her, and you can't find his shirt. Let me repeat that again. You can't find her, and you can't find his shirt. Now, again, I know I don't have all the facts like the police do. Just like we all don't have the facts like the police do. But think about this. If the shirt had any involvement or was involved in something tragic that happened with Sudiksha, don't you think that he would try to get rid of that shirt as well? If there was any splatter, anything of that kind that happened to catch onto the shirt is ripped, even viciously ripped, because of some sort of altercation that happened on the beach. You really think he's going to walk back with that said shirt? So, if she's missing and his shirt just suddenly vanishes and vaporizes out of nowhere, to me, I'm thinking maybe both her and the shirt are somewhere. Remember this. I said 9:50. This is the reason why I stopped right here. 9:55 a.m. is when he was seen walking back barefoot and without his shirt. What are the chances of something bad happened and that he got rid of the shirt? 9:55 a.m. They went down there at 4. So they were down there for hours. 4 a.m. They went down there with their friends. The friends hung out for 2 hours. God knows what they were doing. Maybe they were smoking a little ganj. Maybe they were drinking even more. Maybe they were doing even more stuff. I don't know. But they went down there and they were hanging out there for 2 hours. That's a long time to just be hanging out at the beach, down there by the beach for 2 hours. But then they left. The friends picked up their stuff and they kicked it back to their hotel rooms, right? Leaving those two behind. That's at 6 in the morning. Now, God knows what happened from 6 till 9:55 when he went back. But that's almost 4 hours of him chilling with her at the Dom Beach. They were kissing a little. That's what he says. They were hanging out and kissing a little. Hold on. We're going to pull that back up again. Where is it? Boom, 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 da, da, da. They were in waist deep water, talking and kissing a little. So they're up there doing, they're hanging out, doing whatever. Okay. And then suddenly out of nowhere, just a tidal wave comes out of nowhere. Here's the other thing too. And this is one thing that I'd love to hear from the friends as well. So the friends went down there at 4:00 in the morning with them. We all saw the surveillance footage. They are walking down. In fact, we do have the surveillance footage here. Let me just play it on mute so you guys can see this as I'm talking about this. But this is clear. His arm is around her. So he's claimed like, yo, you know what I mean? He's already making it very known that, hey, I'm interested. You're a cutie. You obviously are vibing with me. Let's continue vibing together, right? And this is at 4:00 in the morning, this surveillance footage, all right? So hold on. Let me just pull this up. Thank God there's no commercials. All right. As you can see, they're walking down. They're doing their thing, right? And he's obviously, they're both very, very drunk, but they seem to be vibing together. Oh, you're drunk. I'm drunk. We're having a great time. We're okay. We're going to make memories tonight kind of thing. So they go down to the beach, 4:00 in the morning. God knows why they went down there at 4:00 in the morning. But the one thing I want to know is the friends that were down there with them, did they see the ocean? They were there for 2 hours, 2 hours long enough to know that the ocean was bad or the ocean was chill, like just calm and cool, normal waves, right? Now I know that the ocean can change in a matter of seconds, right? One moment it can be calm, and the next second it can be just rocking, right? But it's interesting that they were down there for 2 hours hanging out with these two. The other thing, I'm going to say this now, and hopefully I can get this answered. But I'm pausing this for a second, or actually, I'm just going to say right now. You see that because I can't pause it. But who is this guy? Is that a friend of Joshua's, or is that a friend of the group of girls? He shows up and he's talking to Joshua at the bar. We're going to see that in a second, okay? We're definitely going to see that in a second. But again, looking at this, it's like, wait a second. What is really going on here? What is up with this? Who is this guy? Is he a friend of these girls that went down to DR? Did he go down to DR with them? He's a University of Pittsburgh student as well? Or is that Joshua's friend? I keep thinking that is Joshua's friend because of how he keeps looking back, it seems like, at him to check on him, blah, blah, blah. Or they go at the bar. At the bar, it shows that he's talking to him, right? So clearly it's like these two guys hoping to maybe hook up, have a few drinks, have a good time. Because the guy, the redhead, walks back with one of Sudiksha's friends. There he is. Okay, right here. So clearly, either they went back to, do a little hookup, or he was just being a gentleman, walked her back to her hotel room, maybe got her number, went back to his respective hotel room and passed the F out. That's possible too, right? But I keep wondering about that. But these friends were there for 2 hours. So what was the vibe down there for those 2 hours? What was the ocean like? What were they doing for those 2 hours? Did somebody have a little flask, right? And they just kept doing shots? Did somebody have a bottle? Were they just drinking out of the drink that they had for 2 hours? That doesn't make any sense to me at all either. But one thing that really drives me nuts more than anything in the world as well, outside of these kids' perspectives, all right, is where is surveillance videos showing the beach. And if it doesn't exist, why would a 5-star or, a really nice resort like this not have surveillance cameras pointing towards the ocean just in case crimes, missing person situations, people get grabbed in by the ocean? Why would they not have stuff like that readily available for all of their patrons? Because it's all about their patrons' safety, correct? Yeah, correct. So why does that not exist? For a fact they make millions and millions of dollars having people coming in, especially during the spring break time, summertime, etc. What if a kid gets snatched out of nowhere? Why wouldn't there be cameras pointing in that particular direction? Like I said, somebody riddled me this. Okay? It just doesn't make sense to me. So there's a lot of questions I have in regards to those 2 hours that the friends were there. And then when the friends did leave, which I understand, I get it that they're tired, they want to go to bed. It's damn near 6 o'clock in the morning. But at the same time, why would they leave her there? Why would they leave her there like that? It just doesn't make sense to me. But moving on, let me get these these member chats here really quick. So Caprice, thank you so much for your support. I could never give up on my child until especially that early. Yeah, we're going to get into that conversation here, Caprice. Don't worry. I'm just giving a recap of everything, all right? And the things that happened yesterday that I talked about in a pop-up video or in pop-up videos, which is what we're talking about right here. So we will talk about all of that in the main title here in just a minute. Queen Ashley, thank you so much for the love. Welcome to the family. And just like Queen Ashley, please hit that join button down below. Become a member. Support the channel if you can. That'll be greatly appreciated, all right? Your boy's working hard out here in these streets to give you the conversations, the discussions that you need for the day. Okay? So, again, very interesting stuff. Just seeing the surveillance footage, etc. All right? Clear as day to me that, and that's the other thing too. They're holding hands. Hold on. Look at that. That's the redhead guy, okay? Holding hands with one of the girls. Now, if that's one of his boys, now again, he could be just being a gentleman, or they went in and they did things that people do when the time is right. Okay? But still, they did their thing. 4 a.m., 6 o'clock they left. They stayed. And then we see Joshua Rybe coming back damn near 10 o'clock in the morning from being out there on the beach. All right? Without his shirt on. Without his shirt. So if she's missing and that shirt's missing, my thoughts are same things happen to both people. The item, not to both people, I'm sorry, but to the item and to Sudiksha. And they could possibly be in the same place right now. Now, let's talk about this timeline really, really quick, okay? In fact, let me just... No, never mind. I'm not going to do that. Let's talk about this timeline really, really quick, because this is the theory I thought in my head too. If you have, let's just say 4 hours, say something bad happens, and someone, you do a crime, you do some unaliving. Where you have 4 hours, where are you going to put the remains? Think about that for a second. You don't know this area. Where would you put the remains? And then, of course, where would you put it where you wouldn't get caught? Where would you put it? Where would you put the remains and not get caught? And then it's been 11, 12 days now. And her remains have not been found yet. Cadaver dogs, you got drones, helicopters, people, boats, everything out there trying to find this young woman, and they have not found her at all. They have not found her at all, not once, Not even a clue except for her clothing that she left behind. So where could she be? If he buried her, they would have found her. They would have found her by now, right? So where is she? And also, where's that shirt? Because if he was wearing a shirt when he walked out there, and that shirt's gone. It could have swept out in the ocean with her. Something bad could have happened, and maybe he pushed her out into sea. That's possible too. Or when he says that there was a crazy tidal waves and all that stuff, and there was, what are the chances of him actually, or her actually fighting back? If he was up to no good. Like I said, these are just questions that I think all of us want to have answered, and we all want to understand it, and we all want it to make sense. But at the same time, he can't even answer the simplest of questions, which is ridiculous. Like, you can't say, yeah, I contacted the police, or yeah, I went to the hotel and asked if she was okay. You see what I'm saying? But none of that happened, or none of that was addressed. He did not answer that question, which is frustrating, right? Elizabeth, thank you so much. I appreciate the super sticker. Thank you so much for the love. But again, that seems a bit odd, don't you think? Right? Now, Cray Design, you're right. Drunk is drunk. You are not wrong with that. And that could very well be what it is too. And this is the reason why we're talking about it all, right? Because the possibilities in this situation are endless. One moment it is one moment she could be had too many, waves hit her, took her in. She could have had too many. Someone saw that as a vulnerability and pounced on that situation, like Joshua Rybe. Or maybe the waves and everything is true. And as he's convulsing and puking on right at the shore, some guys run up and take her. That could very well be true too. Some guys just go up and take her out of nowhere. Boom. And she vanishes. That's possible too. But I don't know. But there is something that's very interesting, though, which obviously adds more questions than answers to this whole situation, okay, which we talked about in a pop-up video, but I'm going to play it here too. Sudiksha is seen puking. She's kind of doing a puking rally at this bar that her and her friends are at. And you can even see Joshua in the corner off to the side. And he may be puking too, which is interesting. So let's take a look at this again, because, it's spring break. What are they doing? They're day drinking. They're probably more than just day drinking. They've probably been drinking nonstop, right? As soon as they wake up, they're consuming more alcohol, right? They're drinking as soon as they land. They're partying and kicking it. Then they wake up the next morning. They're still drinking. Then they're drinking all day long. I mean, shoot. Everybody knows that's what we hear about with St. Patty's Day. Some people crazy. They're just pounding beers for breakfast first thing in the morning, right? So very, very interesting stuff nonetheless. Okay. But let's take a look at this. All right. Hold on one second, guys. My dogs are tripping. Hold on.
Intrigue are still growing in the case of that missing American college student on spring break in the Dominican Republic. This is some new video. It surfaced of the 20-year-old at a hotel bar with friends before her disappearance. The University of Pittsburgh student was last seen March 6th, sparking a desperate search for new clues with few clues, but her family still demanding answers. Let's get to Alex Capriello, who's live with the very latest.
Yeah, heartbreaking story News Nation's been following closely. That includes obtaining this brand new video of the missing college student, Sudiksha Konanki, in the hours leading up to her death. Let's take a look together. First, in this video, you can see the 20-year-old highlighted wearing that long white dress. At this point in the night, she seems coherent, walking with friends throughout that crowded Dominican Republic hotel lobby. But then also this new video, a much different scene, Nicole.
This is crazy.
Kananki can be seen with her back to the bar, possibly vomiting. Also seen the man authorities say was the last person to see Konanki alive.
Okay, got to pause it right there. But here it is. Take a look at this. You mean to tell me she definitely puking, y'all? That is glorified trying to do a stealth vomit. Okay, she was doing a stealth move because she doesn't want to get kicked out of the bar. She wants to continue kicking it. Okay, this is not a situation where she's just doing this. You know what I mean? Like she knew what was going on at that moment. She's drinking. She's like, oh, whoa. Maybe that shot took me over a little bit went a little bit too beyond, right? Maybe it was a shot of tequila. One shot of tequila too many. And so she's like, oh, whew. She runs over. She's hiding behind the pole. And she does a quick bleh, and then she walks back over like, hey, you know, she's trying to be smooth with it. Okay. Smooth operator. Okay. And yeah, maybe she was spitting something out. Maybe that was it too. Maybe she took the shot and then spat it out like, you know, that's possible too. It's two different things. It could be two different things, right? Two options. But to me, she clearly is drunk in the footage that we see her walking towards the beach with her friends and Joshua Rybe. And I guess Joshua Rybe's friend. Okay. But it's clear to me that she's had a few too many. All right. So she literally is like, bang. And then she walks over, maybe after a second, after consuming it, it's like, oh boy, that did not hit right. And then she walks over there and pukes. So I'm going to play that piece again for you guys. And even right here too, you can even see, watch her as she's walking around here. Now, I understand people make mistakes all the time when they're walking around. Maybe they turn around, they're too close to their friend and they back up, that kind of thing. Those things do happen when you're sober. But it's clear to me that she has been drinking and she's drunk, right? The alcohol has taken full effect.
The 20-year-old highlighted wearing that long white dress. At this point in the night, she seems coherent, walking with friends throughout that crowded Dominican Republic hotel lobby. But then also this new video.
See? So to me, she looks pretty drunk.
A much different scene, Nicole. Kananki can be seen with her back to the bar, possibly vomiting. Also seen the man authorities say was the last person to see Konanki alive. His back is also turned to the camera, also possibly getting sick. Later, another very clear visual of Konanki. She is now back to the bar, appearing joyful, jumping up and down, and then hugging her friends.
So she's clearly having a great time. Clearly, there's some obviously she's drinking. And it looks like she's with some people here again. They're talking to some guys, it looks like, or at least one of them is talking to a guy. The girl that actually leaves with the guy, one of Joshua's friends, hand in hand. I mean, you know, these girls are trying to have fun, right? They're you know, they're having fun. Maybe they're trying to get laid. I don't know. Okay. I mean, that's pretty much, that's pretty much what it is, right? You go to the bar, getting a little drunk, you know, trying to get some numbers, maybe even go home with somebody. You feel me? So, I mean, that's just the thing, right? That's just the thing, being young, dumb, and young and dumb. But still, you know, spring break, they're drinking. She clearly, to me, is, you know, puking over there. Okay. So she does that. She comes back and, you know, seems like it's like it's almost like she hit the reset button. She's good. She's probably still drunk, but she's not feeling sick anymore. Right. And she seems very excited about whatever the heck she's excited about. Maybe she's drunk and going like, we got to go to the beach. Let's go to the beach. You know what I mean? I want to see the beach at night. I've always wanted to see the beach at night, whatever it may be. Right. So, but she seems very hype and very excited about being there, right? But she is drunk.
News Nation is not publicly naming the man seen in the video because he is not considered a suspect at this time.
Joshua
Police
Rybe
originally listed him as a person of interest, but has retracted that statement since. Regardless, his attorneys reportedly say his passport has been confiscated and he's not allowed to leave the island while this investigation continues. The latest reports also indicate he and Konanki found themselves all alone in the ocean, nearly drowning. The man says he pulled the 20-year-old to the shore, but lost sight of her when he was throwing up ocean water that he accidentally swallowed. He claims he returned to his hotel room without even realizing she was missing.
Again, it don't make no damn sense, though. No damn sense. So he just pulls her out of the water, saving her life. And then out of nowhere, he's so busy puking that he doesn't even turn around to see where she is. So he just pukes and then just goes back upstairs to his hotel room. Really? And also the other thing too is like, however long you were bent over puking, you really think that she would kick rocks and leave you that fast? By the time you got done puking and walking up, you probably would have been able to catch up to her or at least see her from afar, walking into the resort or something of that sort, right? It just seems weird. I pulled her out of the water and then I bent over, started puking my guts out. I asked her if she was okay first, though. And she was standing there in the ocean, knee deep in the ocean. And I'm sitting there going, blah, blah, right? And then I turn around, she gone. Huh? Really? So when you turn back around, you didn't see nothing? You didn't see nobody flailing? Nothing? She just let the ocean take her in? Make that make sense, guys. Like I said, it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. And I get it. The act of puking is a full body thing. It's hard to do anything else physically while you are purging. Okay. It's very hard. Okay. But at the same time, you just Ralph and then pass out. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Okay. It just doesn't make any sense to me, guys. It just doesn't. But it could be the truth too. When it came to the Riley Strain situation, we were all trying so hard to understand this. We were sitting there going like, none of this is making sense. How could he have just fallen into the river like that? Blah blah blah. I mean, we've heard we rattled our brains over that stuff, right? And now we're seeing this situation, and it still just doesn't make sense. But at the same time, it's still possible. How Riley Strain lost his life is, from what the police say, he must have been trying to take a leak, tripped and fell into the river, and that's all she wrote. Still kind of hard to believe, but could very well be what it is. But then again, I will say this though too. I gotta make myself big on this one. I'm sorry. But even the information that we heard about Gene Hackman and Gene Hackman's wife, Betsy Arakawa, we're now hearing more information about how she didn't lose her life the day that they said that she lost her life, which is also very interesting. So police could be wrong. They could be wrong. They could very well be wrong. Anything is possible, right? So let's just continue going. Let's hear the rest of this real quick.
Investigators at this point, they're using boats, canines, divers, and drones to try to find the missing student. Earlier, I spoke to a former FBI agent who tells me he does not believe that Kananki drowned.
Shoot.
The body probably would have been recovered by now if she had drowned in that immediate area. She would have drowned very close to the shore, and the body would not, I would think, drifted that far by the time the authorities got onto it.
Interpol has issued an international alert called a yellow notice that's specifically used for unexplained disappearances. The alert will go out all across the entire globe, bringing high visibility to Kananki's case.
Yes.
Okay. Again, pretty interesting stuff here, guys. Clearly, it is something that I still am trying to wrap my mind around. Obviously, you guys are still trying to trying to wrap your minds around it too. Sorry, can't talk suddenly. But it's just so strange to me. Like I said, and I'm going to keep saying that, that she would just be gone like that. Things can happen. Things can definitely happen. Wild freak accidents can happen, especially when you're consuming alcohol. Definitely. But at the same time, when you got kiddo, when you got prime person of interest number one, suspect number, well, he's not even a suspect, okay? But he is a person of interest. I think he's a suspect, okay? So suspect number one is saying all this information, but he keeps changing his story every single time he tells the story. Doesn't make any sense. And again, you can miss me with the nonsense of it being a translator situation. Sorry, not sorry. You can miss me with a, oh, well, you know, what had happened was the translator didn't fully understand what he was saying. No. He just keeps changing his story. The only other thing I can think of, the only other logical thing I can think of that could possibly make sense is that he was drunk and there's things that are coming back to him now. That maybe his story in the very beginning was when he was like, oh, all I remember is this. But then a day later, he's like, oh my God, I did do that. Oh my God, I feel like an idiot. Here's this part too. You know? But I feel like the moment, one of the most definitive moments and the last moments that you see somebody alive, you should know that like the back of your hand. So if it is, you know, we are kissing a little and, you know, whatever, and then we got hit by a wave, then cool. Tell that right out the gate. But that's not what he was saying. Now we're having new additions to a fourth retelling of his story. This has nothing to do with translations. This is not getting lost in translation here, guys. Okay? No, this is not a Bill Murray, Scarlett Johansson type of situation. All right? This is very much somebody who is not telling the full story. And why isn't he? And why did it take him 4, 5, 6, 7, 11 times to tell the full story? If that is the full story. And that's the problem. Because that story should not have changed since the moment he spoke to the police. The story should never have changed. But the fact that it keeps changing makes everybody side-eye him. Side-eye him so hard. Hard as hell. But here's the thing. Now some heartbreaking stuff, which I have a huge problem with. I'm sorry, I said it, but I got a big problem with this. And, you know, again, I'm not her parents. And I understand the grief and the frustration and all that they're going through every single day, every minute, every second that they are dealing with the search for their daughter. But this upsets me. I'm going to be honest. This really does upset me. The parents of the missing Sudiksha Konanki are now pleading for Dominican Republic officials to declare her dead. Yeah. There's a full letter here too, which we're going to read here in a second. But they're pleading the police to basically declare this young woman gone. And I keep wondering, you know, well, one, I understand. I understand it to a certain extent, right? That it's been 11, 12 days now that since she disappeared, right? It's 12 days, okay, since she's been missing, okay, since the day she went missing. And what is interesting about this is I get it that the parents are pleading to say, please declare her unalive, please declare her gone, because obviously they see this as like she's been gone for 12 days. If she was in the water for 12 days, say she was just treading water for 12 days, there's just no possibility, right? And all that. But at the same time, I'm like, I was just about to say that, Debbie. You'd think that they would hang on to hope. You know what I mean? Just a tiny bit more. Wouldn't they hold on to hope? And here's the thing, too. JP11, okay, said weird. I mean, it is weird, but I don't think it weird in the way of like, oh, they have something to do with her disappearance. Hell no. I think that they're going through so much grief every single moment that they're kind of like, they need some chapter in this nightmare book that they're in to be over so that they can move forward. I don't know. I feel like they're trying to find a way to progress and move forward in a way without them losing their minds. And I think also because there are no answered questions so far, they need at least one thing answered. they're like, if we can't get, can we at least say this so that we can go and grieve at least? Because for them, it's every day they're wondering, every moment they're wondering, is she alive? Is she alive? Is she alive? Is she alive? But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I know other people who are parents of missing kids, of missing loved ones that have been gone for a long time. And they have never asked for something like this. So this is new for me. I've never seen something like this before. Okay. But it, you know, Tina, it could be a religious thing. It could be a cultural thing too. It could be. But yeah, this is heartbreaking information. So we're going to get straight into this. Okay. So they're saying the parents of the missing University of Pittsburgh student Sudiksha Kananki want DR officials to declare their 20-year-old daughter gone, despite authorities never finding her body. So the parents wrote to officials late Monday asking them to, quote unquote, respectfully request the legal declaration of our beloved daughter, according to the letter. And of course, they say following an extensive search, Dominican authorities have concluded that Sudiksha is believed to have succumbed to water. I can't say that word too often, but noting that her clothes were found on the beach where she was last seen on March 6th. I mean, you know, like I said, you got the family absolutely torn all the way up about this, and I get it. They need some sort of clarity, or they need some sort of closure. And I guess for them, it's like, I just can't bear the thought, and I need some sort of closure. Maybe I don't know. But like I said, this is very, very sad. The parents also suggest that authorities should stop investigating what. They should stop investigating Joshua Rybe, the Iowa student who said he last saw their daughter while kissing her in the water before he passed out drunk on the beach. What? Stop investigating him? What? Hold on, guys. We got the paperwork here, so we're gonna get straight to the meat and potatoes. Hold on. What the heck? Okay, let's just get straight to this. All right. Request for declaration of demise for our daughter Sudiksha. So we, the parents of Sudiksha Konanki, respectfully request the legal declaration of death for our beloved daughter. Sudiksha, a 20-year-old student at the University of Pittsburgh, tragically went missing on March 6, 2025 during a spring break trip to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Following an extensive search, Dominican authorities have conducted that Sudiksha is believed to have succumbed to water. Her clothes were discovered on the beach near where she was last seen. The individual last seen with her is cooperating with the investigation, and no evidence of foul play has been found. Sure, he's cooperating. Yeah, I guess he's cooperating, if you want to say that. Given these circumstances, and after much deliberation, we request that the police department proceed with the legal declaration of her demise. We understand that certain legal procedures must be followed and are prepared to comply with any necessary formalities, or documentation. Initiating this process will allow our family to begin the grieving process and address matters related to her absence. While no declaration can truly ease our grief, we trust that this step will bring some closure and enable us to honor her memory. We appreciate your attention to this deeply painful matter and are grateful for your support. Should you require any further information or documentation, please contact us. And this is signed by the parents. Now, it doesn't say anything about stop, investigating Joshua Rybe. I don't see anything like that in there. Okay. I don't see anything being said in there. All I see is them saying, please, can you just confirm that she has passed away? so that we can start the grieving process. And I get their need, but like I said before, I've seen so many other families and parents of missing kids that are still missing to this day sit there and say, he or she is coming home. He or she is still alive, and he or she is still out there, and we're going to find him or her. So this is interesting. Okay. It's very, very interesting. But them sitting there saying like, oh, leave Joshy alone. I don't see that. Okay. But then this is also, I guess this request also came the same day that a lawyer for Joshua Rybe pushed for her client, for Joshua, to be released from police surveillance. Okay. While authorities have described him as a person of interest, he has never been accused of foul play during the high-profile investigation. I don't know. Like I said, let me just read this part to you guys too. If he wants to leave the hotel, he cannot do that freely, but with police. This is what his attorney said to ABC News. His passport is seized despite not being officially charged. Local authorities had initially said they believed Kananki had succumbed to water in the ocean. Okay, she got sucked in by the ocean, but then said they are not ruling out that they were not ruling out foul play after her family either earlier raised fears that she could have been taken. And you also got to remember, okay, you got a family that's going to go through a bunch of theories in their own minds, right? She may have been taken. There's a possibility some foul play happened. Maybe this guy did do what everybody's alleging that he did and all that. They're going to be looking at everybody. Everybody's a suspect, right? Everybody is a suspect at some point. But it's interesting that they have, in a way, I understand that they need to do what they need to do, but I am kind of curious as to, it's almost like they just threw up flew up the white flag. But like I said, I'm not them. I'm not in their shoes, and I can only imagine what they're going through. Okay, as a family, it's a terrifying situation. Rybe has said he and Kananki, well, we already know they jumped into the ocean outside the hotel they were staying at before they ran into rough water. So we already know all of this as well. But again, pretty interesting stuff that the family is now requesting that this case is now, this investigation is now like, hey, she is gone, right? Which is crazy. Let's take.
Developing this morning, the family of a missing college student is reportedly asking authorities to declare her dead. That's according to media in the Dominican Republic. 20-year-old Sudiksha Kananki disappeared nearly 2 weeks ago while on a spring break trip to the Dominican Republic with a group of friends. Authorities still trying to piece together a timeline of her whereabouts and any new clues as to what may have happened to her. Joining me now, I have trial attorney and legal analyst Misty Maris. Misty, it's always good to have you. Not a whole lot of clarity in this case. I mean, it's been this slow drip of just incremental updates. What are you making of these reports that Kananki's parents want her declared dead?
Yeah, it seems that her parents are now at the point where they want some closure. And even though a body has not been found, which would obviously give some clarity, it's the most critical piece of evidence in any case, right? It can tell you the means and the manner and the timing of a death. And even though that has not happened yet, nobody has been found. It sounds as though her parents want to move on, perhaps get some closure, and are accepting, according to the reporting, the story of the last person to see her alive, who is currently in the Dominican Republic with his passport seized. So at this point, it seems that that call, which previously, just a day ago, the parents were saying, don't think this is just a drowning. There could be something more to this case, but perhaps they're keen to more evidence that has not been made publicly available that's led them to the conclusion that this is something they need to put behind them and move on from, a horrible tragedy.
Now, again, yes, this could very well be a situation where the family just wants closure. But at the same time, it could be a cultural thing as well. But I don't know. Like I said, I feel like I wouldn't quit. Like I wouldn't give up. And I'm not sorry. You know, it's tough to say certain things without, you know what I mean, not trying to be disrespectful to the family. I mean, what the family wants to do is their business, right? That's their business. But at the same time, there is a part of me that's like, man, you know, I wish that they would just held out a little bit longer so that they can get, you know what I mean? Because in a way, it's like suddenly now we are, when they do that, when they say, oh, she's gone, it kind of closes something. It starts to shut the case a little bit, which is tragic. Oh, she's gone. So then everybody's like, oh, okay, she's gone. So there's no concern or obsession anymore of trying to find her, right? I just hope it doesn't slow things down, right? I really hope this doesn't slow things down. But I get the need for closure. But some people, in their own mind, they're going to sit there and say, I ain't giving up until I see my kid either alive or gone. But I need to physically see that, right? And like I said, there are people out here that have, it's been 14, 20 some odd years, missing person case, and they still believe that their kid is alive out there somewhere. So this is interesting, but I just hope it doesn't slow things down.
And would declaring her dead change the game in any other way? Like, would that afford the family new legal avenues or new investigative routes that they don't currently have?
Well, the family could still potentially pursue something in the civil sphere with respect to the failure of the hotel to have security measures that are sufficient to protect people against going into the ocean late at night, something to that effect, that there were no cameras. You know, we have a big divide.
Thank you. Thank you. This would be so solved a long-ish time ago if there were cameras pointing to the dumb beach. Okay, aren't there other resorts nearby? Are there surveillance cameras maybe pointing in that direction that they could be looking at as well? I'm just saying, it's been 12 days, dag nabbit, and you mean to tell me that you don't have security cam? Just saying. You don't have like a code or shutting the place down so you don't allow people to go out to the beach after a certain time of night. 4 o'clock in the morning is pretty damn early, or like pretty damn late at night. You see what I'm saying? Why isn't it being shut? Like, oh, we can't get out. We can't get out to the beach. Dang. Blast. You know what I'm saying? Where are the damn cameras?
From where she's last seen on camera as when she's down at the beach. That's the area where we don't really know what happened because there is no video footage. Those avenues exist regardless. But really what would happen in that particular case, if it were to be she's declared dead and there's a drowning, the student who's currently being held would have another avenue, currently seeking to be released in a habeas corpus petition to say that, okay, if this is declared to be a drowning, then he should be able to come back to the United States. So there's a couple of different legal wranglings that can happen once that is formally declared deceased.
Yeah.
Now, hold on. Let me get this right. Because in the paperwork, it wasn't a, hold on. Let me just make sure. We're coming back to that. Hold on. Where the heck is that damn paperwork? Hold on. I just want to. Okay. They really do want to say that she succumbed to water. Yeah. I just want to make sure I had that correct. So they say they believe that she had succumbed to water, that she was sucked out into the ocean, okay? Her clothes were discovered on the beach where she was last seen. The individual last seen with her is cooperating with the investigation and no evidence of foul play has been found. So they basically are saying like, hey, you know, she succumbed to water. And if that's what the investigation says, that's what the investigation says. So please declare her gone. And if that is the piece, then that basically means that the case will be closed. The investigation either will slow all the way down or go to a dead halt solely because the family is basically saying, let him go. Basically, if the authorities say that she succumbed to water, then she succumbed to water. But God forbid if her body is found. Watch. Say her body is found. This will be a completely different can of worms for sure. If her body is found and then they see that there's some semblance of foul play on her body, then they're going to have to try to extradite him. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, this is all hey, chihuahua. But let's continue. That's why I'm saying, like, I understand that they want closure. They want to move forward in the grieving process and all that stuff. But this is not over yet. And I feel like it's 12 days. I get it. But at the same time, her body or she could pop up anywhere at any time. So it's like, God, could you just hang out? Hold out just for a few more days, maybe. Hold out for a month. You know what I'm saying? I know that's terrible. That sounds crazy, right? But like I said, just hold out for a little bit. But they submitted this paperwork, so it is what it is.
I know that habeas corpus hearing is scheduled for today for this man who's the last to be seen with her. Again, to your point, he's not been named a suspect, but his attorneys have come forward and said, he's not been allowed to leave the hotel. He's under constant police supervision. So technically, he's not free. Is that normal, Misty?
So in the Dominican Republic, there's actually a 48-hour window for investigators to bring charges under the law. But similar to the laws we have in the United States, someone cannot be unlawfully detained. And detained has a specific legal meaning. And that legal meaning is, even if you're not technically under arrest, if a reasonable person would believe that they can't leave, then that qualifies as being detained. So in this particular case, his passport has been seized. He's being held at the hotel. He can't leave the country. Therefore, his lawyers are making the argument that technically he is being detained, and therefore it's either they bring charges or let him or release him as would any other individual. So I think what we see here is investigators really wanting to get down to the crux, get all the information that they can before this individual leaves the country. But that has to be balanced with those protections for those individuals, constitutional protections. So the law is a bit different in Dominican Republic, but it has parallels in the laws we have in the United States.
Interesting. The other thing is true, too. Somebody just said this in the chat. Brittany just said, wasn't Riley Strain found on day 14 as well? Yeah, it was 14 days. It was 2 whole weeks until Riley Strain's remains was found. So again, day 12. I mean, anything's possible, right? Anything's possible. I mean, yeah, she could have been attacked by sharks or you know what I mean? Anything's possible too. But you'd think that something would wash up to shore at some point. So again, very interesting, guys.
Misty, let me just point out, too, this video that we're playing here to the right of the screen. This is that new surveillance footage that authorities there just released this week. It shows Kananki at a bar. Some people are debating if she's going over to this, pillar, if she's vomiting, if she's, just bending over to pick something up. We don't really know yet. But then she goes off and hugs a friend. She's jumping up and down. She seems jovial. Does this new piece of footage help authorities at all in any new directions?
It certainly helps to put together and piece together that timeline. And there is one aspect here that is, of course, going to make it difficult to assess exactly what happened when she goes down to the beach. And that's that the footage ends at some point.
Thanks.
Yep. The footage ends at some point, and that's it. Right. And then, they go off and they do whatever the hell they're doing. Right. That's when they hang out. They go to maybe some other bar or something, and then they go to the beach, hang out down there for 2 hours before they are left alone, right? So again, something very strange is going on. But real quick, Nikki, thank you so much for the love. I appreciate the super sticker. It really, really means a lot. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you so much for the support, okay? But something ain't right here, Okay. And I know that there's some other things like she had a few transactions on her Venmo, hours before her disappearance. And from what I saw, from what I gathered, it was from things that she was doing, like drinking and buying things at the bars and stuff like that too. So there really hasn't been, sorry, um, there really isn't anything sinister in regards to her Venmo activities as well. Nothing that I saw that would have been like, oh man, that's crazy. Why did she buy? Why did she drop $10,000? Into somebody's account? You know what I mean? It wasn't anything suspicious like that. But again, it does still make you wonder what the hell happened here. What's really going on? Have the friends even spoken out? Have they even said anything to the public about what they saw, her last moments before they left her behind with this guy? That's the other thing too. That's the other question too. Like, and then his friend, who I'm assuming is his friend, the guy, the redhead, the guy with the white button up with it seems like a black and white shirt, right? Has he spoken out? Has he said anything? Right? But this, at the end of the day, this is a full-on warning to all you young cats that are out there. Shoot, even you old cats out here. Let's keep it real. Because a lot of y'all still like to kick it on vacations, right? You're like, hey, I don't have to operate heavy machinery. I don't know anybody here. I could just tie one on and have a great time and just lose my mind. Listen, I get it. It's vacation time. You want to have fun. You're getting away from the stress. Also, you're celebrating the stress that you go through every day just so you can have this 1 week or this weekend to go and have a good time. I get it. I fully get it. Okay. But let's be real. We got to be careful out here. Ladies and girls. Okay. Young and old. Let's be real. You go on these girls' trips, make sure you have a code. Make sure you're being safe. And this is the same thing for the fellas too. Because sometimes the fellas will go on a guy's trip and go and kick it, and they be wilding out there too. All I say is have a system set up, because people are still getting targeted and attacked. And it's like, oh, she cute. She's local. Oh, she's cute, and she's throwing all the attention towards me, and her friends like my friends too. And then they single you out. They corner you, and then you get attacked. I'm just being real. These are true stories. We've been hearing about them. Wasn't there a guy, I forgot, like in New Orleans or something like that, a reporter that got viciously attacked, unalived by a girl that he picked up, or maybe she picked him up? I don't know, right? A reporter that lost his life. So I'm just saying, it just seems weird. But there are a lot of that happening more than you know. Or it's a guy, he meets two girls. Those two girls are like, oh, you're cute. And the guy's like, oh, wow, they're actually feeling me. Cool. And then they're hanging out with them. And then next thing you know, while he's good and drunk, they attack him, take him for all he's worth. Those things do happen. Same thing with girls. This is not new news for the girls, okay? There are a lot of nasty, terrible individuals out here in these streets that want to do very, very bad things to people, especially when they're vulnerable under the influence. And they know how to sniff them out. And they sit and they patiently wait like a snake in the grass. And when the time is right, that's when they pounce. So I'm just saying, there's got to be a code for both guys and girls. And I still don't understand why they left this girl behind. That's the piece that just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make sense. Now, it could just be them being young and drunk and not thinking. One of them obviously went back to the hotel with a guy. Did she go back to the hotel with the guy, or did he walk her back to her hotel room? That I don't know. But what I do know is that they everybody had their own agenda going on. And I get that part. But at the same time, it's constantly making sure that your friends are okay. And here's the other thing too, because you're in a resort. So you're thinking in your mind that you're safe. No matter where you go, you're safe on the resort. If you go out of the resort, that's when it's a jungle out there, right? You go to a local bar in that area, they're going to know you're just tourists. You're sitting ducks, right? But it's the same thing inside a resort. We're hearing that constantly, right? So I say we have to really be careful here when we go out and have fun. Because now more than ever, there are people that are more than willing to sit idly by, wait patiently to attack you when they know you are the most vulnerable. And they'll keep plying you with drinks, keep giving you shots until you can barely stand up, and then they go after you. So again, there's got to be a system. Cricket Day just said, I don't get it, Pascal. It bothers me so much to leave your friend while intoxicated with a stranger. Yeah, that's the part that doesn't make sense to me at all either. It doesn't. But I will say this, though, too. That happens all the time. Happens plenty of times. And I see it happening more on the guy side than I see it on the girl side. But I'm not saying that it isn't new for girls to be like, oh, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Oh, I see they're vibing. Okay, I'm going to sleep. You're okay though? Yeah, I'm fine. Okay, cool. I'll see you tomorrow. Call me tomorrow. And then they leave, right? But then at the same time, same thing with dudes. Dudes are different. Guys are a lot different. And guys are still out here doing the same doggone thing. And it sounds really messed up, but I have to say it like this. So with all due respect, I'm not trying to sound like a Neanderthal, but it is very much like a hunting and gathering type of thing. It's a solo game, but you are, hanging out with guys. But, as soon as they connect with a girl, it's kind of like, I got to go, I gotta go bust a move. I gotta go see about a thing. Oh, all right, bro. See ya. And then the guy or guys are sitting there by themselves. You know what I'm saying? But that can also be dangerous because there's a guy. He picks the wrong one night. Yeah, I gotta go, see about a thing. You know what I'm saying? And the guys will be like, oh, okay. Are you sure? But not every day, not all the time are you getting friends being like, are you sure? No. Most of the time, guys are like, all right, bro, dap it up, have fun. Calls tomorrow. But at the same time, those same situations can also end up being disastrous or even deadly. So like I said, there should be a code. There should be a code. Okay? And we live in a wild time where people are just planning and plotting some sinister stuff on vulnerable people, especially in these vacation areas, in these foreign areas, when they know for a fact that there are tourists coming through, hanging out, whoop-de-woo. There's got to be a code. It is sad that they're asking and pleading for the police to say, declare her gone. I wish that wasn't the case, but if that's what they ask for, we have to respect the family for what they're requesting. But my only concern, my main concern, it's fine. They can declare her gone if that's what they want to do. Declare her gone. My concern is that this is going to shut this whole case all the way off. The investigation's going to pull all the way back to the point where they don't even start looking for her anymore because, she gone. That's it. And we're moving on. And that Joshua Rybe, if he really has something to do with her disappearance, walks free and goes back home. I really hope that's not the case. But at the same time, we're going to have to sit back and wait and see. Anyway, guys, that is the show. Appreciate all y'all for being here. Really means a lot. Thank you so much for tuning in. Of course, if there's more information and any more updates revolving around Konanki's disappearance, we will be talking about it. But I truly believe I truly believe she's going to turn up somewhere. And I think she's going to turn up very, very soon. And no, I don't think it's going to be her being a rescue situation. I think it's going to be a recovery. But at the same time, that body could tell us exactly what happened moments before she passed away, moments before she was swept out to sea, or moments before her body was found in this area, wherever her body is found. But I truly believe it will turn up, and it will turn up soon. I hope, right? Because I think the family needs more than just a little bit of closure on something. They're still going to think in their minds that she is out there somewhere. They need that closure too. They need to see proof positive that she is really indeed gone. You know, they're going to bury an empty casket. Think about that too. I think they're going to want to see for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, that she is indeed gone. They need to see the physical evidence of that too. But anyway, guys, that is the show. I appreciate all y'all. Thank you so much for being here. All right. Please do me a favor before you head out. Hit that like button down below. Hit that reaction button if you can. That'd be greatly appreciated. Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms. If you are watching on those other platforms, make sure you hit that follow button over there. I'm on all of them. Subscribe here on my main channel, YouTube channel. Go to my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Make sure you're subscribed over there. That'd be greatly, amazingly appreciated. All right? Hit that join button down below. Become a member. Check out my Patreon. Check out my locals. And don't forget, check out PascalMerch.com. We got some really great stuff over there. Go check it out, baby. Anyway, guys, it is time to get going. If there's more information, we will be talking about it very, very soon. But have a great one, guys. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.